guests that we have with us this evening. First, Board of Education members that are present, please stand, including Board Vice President Andy Farmeyer, Board members Robin Bergkamp, Mark Hine, and John Wilson. I'd also like to recognize Dr. Mike Dominguez, Superintendent, Garden City Public Schools. In 1984, an idea was conceived whereby past graduates of Garden City High School might be honored for their accomplishments. This idea was brought into action in 1985 when the first members of the Garden City High School Hall of Fame were inducted. In doing this, we have a chance to show that Garden City High School produces graduates that are second to none. As you can see on the wall over there, there have been 78 outstanding people inducted into the Garden City High School Hall of Fame. We can be proud to have these individuals represent us. I would like to have any past Hall of Fame members, inductees present tonight, please stand. Each year, we add 2 more distinguished graduates of Garden City High School to the Hall of Fame. Tonight, we are honored to induct Johnetta Holmes Everly of the class of 1980 and Gary Fee, the class of 1974, into the Garden City High School Hall of Fame. At this time, I would like to have Janet Reed please come forward and introduce Mrs. Everly. Should have said properly Hall of Fame member, Janet.
Good evening. Before I introduce Johnetta, our local inductee, I want to wish my sister and brother-in-law a happy anniversary next week. Also, in learning about Gary Fee's connection with California Highway Patrol, I have to admit I've been looking around here for Ponch and John. No luck. No such luck. Let's get to our local inductee, Johnetta Holmes Everly. If I were to tell you the many accomplishments Johnetta has had throughout the years, we would be here for quite some time. She says she doesn't do much, but I'll let you decide. I will allow Johnetta to share her information. However, I do have a story. While in high school, Johnetta created a scrapbook for one of the basketball players. She collected newspaper clippings and programs from the events. Remember doing that? The player for whom she made the scrapbook told me that it was and is a wonderful scrapbook. He still has that scrapbook, saying that Johnetta did an amazing job in putting it together. Johnetta recently shared with me a quote that I'd like to share with you because it reminds me of Johnetta. Never forget that every day you wake up is an amazing gift, and it's up to you to make it count. From what I see, Johnetta lives by that philosophy. Johnetta is kind, caring, and a hard worker. She excelled in many ways in school and continues to excel today. She treats people with dignity and respect and receives that in return. Her selection into the GCHS Hall of Fame is well deserved. Johnetta, if you come forward and assist me, we will unveil your portrait to be housed in the Hall of Fame area. Our 2025 local inductee, Johnetta Holmes Everly. Yeah, just, if you ever come to my office, just look at me, not my office. It's a mess. Good evening, everybody. It is an honor to be recognized for the work you love to do. First, I would like to sincerely thank everyone on the Hall of Fame committee for their time and commitment of processing all of the applicants. To my fellow applicants, congratulations on your nomination and hard work. To Gary, congratulations on being selected. It is certainly one of the most meaningful and personal honors I've ever received, and I am proud, humble, and quite flattered to be standing here in front of you today. When I think back to the time I spent in Garden City High School, it is with fond memories and good feeling, and growing up in this community had a profound effect on me. All that makes it even more special to have been chosen to receive this award. For a fifth-generation Garden City girl, wow, I did pretty well. 45 years ago, on Sunday, May 18, 1980, I walked across the stage at Garden City High School football field, and it was hot, it had rained, and we were dying to accept my high school diploma with a dream that I would be the first in my family to go to college, and secondly, one day I would educate children. Honey, I understand, I do. Secondly, I would educate children and share with them my love of history. Well, here I am living my best life in my hometown. This honor goes beyond personal achievement. It represents every teacher who believed in me, supervisors and mentors that guided me, and every child and adult that asked for more stories and information about a historic person, place, or thing, especially Garden City or Finney County. A special thank you to Janet Reed for nominating me for this incredible recognition. Thank you. To Mrs. Margaret Riggs, my high school, college prep English teacher, that told me to stop beating around the bush and get to the point. She knew I was a storyteller. To Coach Marvin Dodd, that encouraged me in the classroom to think outside the box, and in the shot and discus rings to not be intimidated by more experienced throwers. To Grover Craig and Roy Rowland, who taught me the psychology and true love for softball. And to Mr. Dave Kraft, my government and history teacher, who told me, "Kid, you've got charisma. And people are drawn to you. That is a gift. Use it for something good." And to Dr. Alan Bush at Fort Hays State University, who taught me how to research and dig in like an Alabama tick. These are just a few of the influential individuals that motivated me and spoke life into my world. To Vaughn Hunn, Emily Miller, Doris Walker, Jennifer Ramos, the class of '60, Steve Quakenbush, Jonas Cruz, Megan Ford, Matthew Horney, and Amanda Duncan, thank you for your letters of recommendation. A special thank you to my friend that's more like a daughter to me, Amanda Duncan, who encouraged me to fill out the paperwork, assisted me in helping put together my information. I haven't exactly kept track of things because that's not important to me, but in 45 years, holy cow, I hadn't done a resume in 16. Frankly, I'm not sure I remembered everything, but those things just don't matter. To my parents, Johnny and Wanda Holmes, that set the standard high and accepted nothing but the best, your best. And to my 4 brothers, I apologize for setting the bar high and you all being compared to your sister. However, the competition between we 5 was extremely fierce and intense. each of us making our own way, being who we are, focused, and forces to be reckoned with. We are Holmeses. Thank you to Gunnar and JC. I sincerely apologize to you. Many times, my children came after the event, after the track meet, after the meeting, and after other children. I coached for 30 years and I taught for 20, but I've never loved anyone more than the way I love you. You are my greatest accomplishments. To my husband, Bill, the hugs, my ride and die, who puts up with me, supports my shenanigans, my randomness, all the sticky notes, highlighters, pens, papers, pencils, books, stacks of books, and research ideas. But he helps me turn my wacky ideas into programs, presentations, and exhibits. My world is complete with you by my side, and after 30 years I pick you again, all over again. I love you. Well, enough mush and being sentimental. This honor motivates me to keep pushing the boundaries, keep telling the stories and doing the research, to keep supporting my community. I liken myself to the little chihuahua that lives next door, that runs out into the yard, barking and kicking up the grass. This is my town. I am proud of Garden City, and I am proud to represent not just 5 generations of Holmeses, 4 generations of Heberleys, and 5 generations of Smiths, but to represent my hometown. I'm more motivated now to continue to educate myself and others. Success comes from giving back, not giving up. About trying again and again, and about meeting people where they are and sharing with them. Live in the moment, but remember the past. I am deeply honored and inspired to be chosen to be inducted into Garden City High School's Hall of Fame. Most of those people I talk about in programs to children in Garden City. But to hang up here with Elvira Crocker, who I personally think is just the bomb, wow. You make me proud, and I'm eternally grateful. You see, I am Mrs. H, always a Buffalo, and I am Garden City. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to have Barbara come up and introduce Gary.
Everybody laugh. I'm not a professional. Okay. Hi there. My name is Barbara Heath, and I would like to introduce my husband, Gary. He spent 30 years in law enforcement, working his way up from officer to assistant chief, retiring out of San Luis Obispo command with the California Highway Patrol. I knew when he graduated from the academy that I would be able to call him Chief Thief because he had that name. So he had to be Chief Thief. It just had to be. Gary received his bachelor's degree in criminology and his master's degree in organizational leadership. He is also a graduate of the Peace Officers Standards and Training Post Command College and holds his Postmaster's Instructor's certification. He attended and graduated from the FBI Academy, a session 200 in Quantico, Virginia. Gary called me one day while I was in San Luis and said he was ready to retire. And bam, 2 weeks later, he was home sitting on my couch. And I thought to myself, what Sam Hill and we're going to do with him? I'm like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden he got a call from the college and said, hey, we need you to come teach a class. Hallelujah. Jesus answered my prayers. So he started teaching a class on terrorism training for Central California Intelligence Center in Sacramento, which represented 34 of the 50 counties in California. He coordinated homicide and officer-involved shooting classes in Monterey and continued working at the police academy part-time until he was appointed director in 2016. He is starting his 46th year working in law enforcement. Someday, he tells me he is going to really retire. I don't really believe him, but he swears he will. I hope he will. Gary, if you'll come up and help me, please.
She did really well. Thank you, Barb. Sweetheart, did I say all the right words? I'll make sure I'll be on the couch and maybe this year. First of all, obviously, I talked to Roy a little bit. I said, how long should a speech be? He said, well, it has to be done by midnight because they got to pay overtime to get everybody out of here. So I said, I'll try to do that, but I'm not sure if I can get through all my notes. But I'll try and do that. First, I want to thank the Garden City Hall of Fame Committee for my selection, and thank again my wife Barbara for nominating me for this prestigious award. I'm honored and humbled by the selection, just like John Nett I was, and I'm honored to be up here speaking to you. Also want to thank all the educators for USD 457 and congratulate all the previous inductees. Also want to thank Principal Steve Norby and Dr. Dominguez. Thank you for being here. I did a little research on the bios of the folks on the wall to my right here, and I honestly say I'm all of them. And to be recognized along with them is truly an honor. I do not take this induction lightly. With all the outstanding graduates at Garden City High School, since 1974, you could obviously put pictures on all the walls in this entire building. And thank God we have 385,000 square feet of wall space. I kind of heard about the facility when it was built. We just opened the first responder campus. I was given an analogy. Sometimes we go off script because we may be here to midnight. We just built the first responder campus, 55,000 square feet, cost us $50 million. This was about $92 million, I understand. If you were to take this facility and put it in California, $400 million. So you got a good deal. It's crazy. Someone mentioned Ponch and John earlier. Who was that? They were going to be here. They were going to be here, seriously. But I couldn't pay them enough. So, actually, Ponch and John, that's part of the reason I joined the patrol when I saw the series begin in 1977. And when I first was signed down in Los Angeles, we actually worked some of their details. In fact, just this last November, they had a ceremony with the cast of chips. They had 5 of them there. Robert Pine and Larry Wilcox and Eric Strada, we were able to go and meet with them and have dinner. It was a really nice event. I wasn't going to talk about that, but since you brought it up, we did. Now, I'd like to recognize some very special people here for you today, and some who traveled some distance to be here. First, my wife, Barbara, who you just met. We were married in Garden City 49 years ago this July. That's a big thing. And we're still married in most law enforcement communities. If you say over 5 years, that's a miracle. But 49 years, she's been a very big supporter, been there for everything I've done. I promoted 5 times, never promoted in place, and she's always had to pick up and lead. She was a respiratory therapist for 30 years, so every time she moved to a different hospital, I had to start all over. When I moved and promoted, we kept our salary and benefits, so it didn't have to change. So she sacrificed a lot more than I did for the state of California, and thank you, Lynn, for being there for me. Also want to welcome my twin brother, Larry, Pete, and Kyra. They're from all over the country right now, but they will be married 48 years in June. So Larry, Kyra, congratulations on that. I also want to recognize my sister, Darlene, from Florida, came all the way out from Florida. My granddaughter, Alex, and her daughter, Tatum, who flew out from Seattle. My brother-in-law, Mike, and his wife, Jen, and their son, Sean, from Inman. I want to welcome my nephews and nieces, Jordan and Sam from Colorado, Jennifer and her son, Gabe, from Colorado, and then Sean Feet from Olathe, and his mom, Barbara, from Garden City, Kansas. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate that. I also want to thank Class of 74. This cost me some big bucks to get them here. At the table back there, Ronnie almost is controlling them back there. So Ronnie, Gil, Mike, JR, thank you guys for being here. Steve, Lane, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. At this time I was going to go through high school, I did not realize how impactful growing up in Garden City would be, and how the impact it would play in my role and my career choices. So I want to thank you, Garden City, and Garden City USD 457, because of all the accomplishments I'm going to talk about. What I've gone through is all because of you, USD 457, and Garden City. So please give yourselves a hand. As I said, Barbara and I both grew up in Garden City. It's truly home for us. I came from a family of 14 kids, all born in Garden City. We had 3 sets of twins. My brother Larry and I are the youngest. There's a 15-year gap between our oldest sibling and Larry and I. So my roots and foundation were because of where we grew up. I started my journey after graduating from Garden City High School 51 years ago. In fact, last year we attended our 50th anniversary, and JR did a fantastic job with that. We had a lot of folks. I think you said that most attendance of all of our reunions. So thank you, JR, for doing that. I have to say, time really did fly by. When I walked into the reunion, I thought to myself, wow, these people are old. And I must be in the wrong place. And then I went to the restroom and looked in the mirror and said, shoot, I'm in the right place, I'm old too. That's okay. When Barbara and I decided to move to California, we really had no idea what to expect. Moving to California without a job was kind of a big move for us, but we were determined to meet the challenges that we faced head on. I mean, Garden City at the time, or Kansas at the time, was like 2 million people. In California, was around 34 million. They had like 27 million licensed drivers, 30-some million registered vehicles. It was quite a shock to us. After a couple of years of working in construction, I was able to put myself through the local police academy in Fresno, and became a reserve officer for Fresno Police Department. My graduating class at that Fresno Academy was class 13. I'm going to talk about that in a second. After my graduation, I was hired for a first law enforcement job by the State Center Community College District Police in Fresno as a police officer. During that time, I applied for the CHP and was told there were over 15,000 applicants, and when the testing was completed, only 400 of us made it through the entire process. And that's kind of true today. It's about 1 to 2% of all people apply for the highway patrol actually get hired or put through the academy. Once assigned to the academy, I was separated from my wife and kids for 6 months. CHP Academy is the only academy in California that the recruits live on academy grounds. We're in dorms, we're allowed to go home on weekends, and go out on Wednesday Liberty if we weren't restricted for some rule violations. Towards the end of our 6 months of training, the class received our dream sheets, which is a list of about 34 field commands that we would like to go to. So I didn't know California at the time, so one of the areas that came up was Santa Fe Springs. And I said, well, that sounds kind of cool. Must be water, flowing rivers, really nice. When we got down there and looked for a house, we realized it bordered East LA and southern part of Los Angeles County. That's kind of a shock. But we had a great time down there. We actually did. At our academy graduation ceremony, prior to me reporting to Santa Fe Springs, I was honored to receive the Cadet Athlete Award for the CHP Academy class. And that's all because of all the workouts I did with Ronnie. Ronnie has all the softball playing, got me in shape for being at the CHP Academy, so thank you, Ron. After my stint in Springs, I worked my way up to state, and after a short stay in Hanford, I was selected to the newly formed CHP Search and Rescue Helicopter as a flight officer EMT for Central Division Command. At that time, we were the only local medevac law enforcement helicopter in Central Valley. We had a lot of great missions to save a lot of lives by getting the victims to the hospital in minutes versus hours. Our geographical areas also included Yosemite National Forest and Sequoia. After I left our operation, I went back to the road in Fresno, where I worked for the next several years. My focus was removing the inherent drug drivers from the roadways. Drug driving became a huge issue for the CHP, so I became what they call a drug recognition expert, where I was trained to detect people under the influence of controlled substances. And what we were having a problem with in Fresno was meth, crystal meth, cocaine, heroin, and PCP. Shortly after that, I became a DRE instructor, and I started training people in our Fresno command and throughout the state of California. It was a real challenge. The Fresno command, we averaged over 70 fatalities a year, which is a lot. And so we wanted, and 50% of that was because of drug driving. After working in Fresno for several years, I decided to promote, took the sergeant exam. The first time I took the exam, it was just to take it, so when I got back to the office, the guys like to mess around with you, right? And they said, how'd you promote, how'd you do on the list? I said, I don't know, I haven't seen it. He said, well, it's on the wall. So they had a list of all the names. They had like 20 pages of blank, and they put my name. Well, that was real nice. I didn't study, I was trying to go through the process. And so I said, I want to get back to those guys. So the next 2 years, the exam came up again, and that was 600 that took the test. They promoted 125, and I finished number 4 in the state. So I went back there, said, let me, number 4 this time. Little cat and mouse stuff. So I was rewarded for that great testing score to be assigned to Newhall back in the Los Angeles area. That command was infamous for where we had 4 CHP officers killed in one shootout in less than 5 minutes. That changed how the highway patrol carried weapons and the type of training we do moving forward the next several years. The CHP has lost 227 officers in the line of duty since the CHP is founded. After my assignment, I transferred to our Fresno command, where I supervised 2 deployments to Los Angeles riots, where the CHP sent 1,000+ officers to assist LAPD. They became inundated with calls for service. We were initially going down to Los Angeles to help calls for service, but because of the fire department, they have 51 some stations in there. They were going to calls, they were getting shot at, they were getting balls thrown, they couldn't do calls for service. So our deployment and our assignment was to go with the fire department and all their calls. So we did that for a 2-week stretch until that settled down. Like I said earlier, due to my background as a DRE instructor, I also became a California statewide DRE instructor, where I represented over 2,700 DREs representing 100 law enforcement agencies. One of the things about being an instructor, and I'm sure the educators here will also say, is that once you teach someone in some type of discipline, 10, 15, 20 years later, they always come up to you and remember you and remember what you taught them. So that's really a rewarding feeling when you see someone at a store or at a mall. We've seen people on cruises that I've taught and had no idea if they're on a cruise, but it's really a rewarding feeling. And again, like the instructors we have here, everyone involved in education, I'm sure they've heard that before. While assigned at the Fresno Command, I was selected to take over the multi-action investigation team in Central Division. Our team responded to incidents where there were 2 or more fatalities or serious criminal charges were going to be conducted, like manslaughter and murder. We also processed crime scenes for our officer-involved shooting incidents for the CHP and several law enforcement agencies. Our largest, so the most fatalities we had in our main team was 13 fatalities in one incident. So as it took a toll on our staff, I had a really good team. After my tour made, I was appointed into the air operation as a flight officer supervisor. At that time, I just got my fixed wing license, and our department was telling us that if you get your fixed wing license, we'll train you over to the transition to helicopter, because that's what I mostly like. But they still hadn't made that decision, so I was on the lieutenant's test, so I said, okay, should I balance this, take a chance, or promote? I decided to promote, and probably a year later, they started doing the training. But I had a great time. At that assignment, we received a commissioner citation for saving 300 lives. As a lieutenant, I reported to CHP in West Sacramento, where we saw the training of CHP cadets. We had You know, it was a living academy. It's the only living academy in the state of California, and it's probably one or two in the entire United States. So cadets had to live there, and that's actually great for them and great for us because we have control of them. I did that assignment for 3 years, and probably the significant thing I did out of that assignment was Dominican Republic had a large issue with traffic fatalities. They were having a lot of issues. They visited our academy, and then we put a operational plan together. We sent motor officers and their motors over to Dominican Republic and trained them for about a month. And they came back and we got a lot of good press out of it, and it also helped them out too. As my wife had mentioned, I was selected to attend that FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia for 3 months, where I graduated class session 200. At that academy, there were over 200 graduates, mostly every state was represented, and then 20 different countries. The unique thing about that, and why I mentioned that, is our 200 session, they usually have the graduation at Quantico, but due to the 200 session, they put us down at Constitutional Hall in DC, and the President's Plate at our ceremony, so it's very significant. It was a neat event. After 3 years at the academy, I promoted to captain of Hayward Border, which bordered Oakland Command, across the Bay of San Francisco. The unique thing about that command was a training ground for everyone. And what I mean by that is that most people, unless you live in the Bay Area, or like San Diego, Monterey, those type of areas, it's really expensive, as you probably know. So I had everyone, including me, like I was on probation, 10 of my 12 sergeants were on probation. I had 100 plus officers, about 70% of them were on probation. So basically, I don't want to say that, blind made me blind. But it was really a big challenge, but I had a great staff, and we worked our way through that. That's actually the command where we had the 9/11 incident happen, and we had one of the big main bridges in the Bay Area, so it really changed how law enforcement was working forward after that incident. I worked my way back to Fresno, and after the Merced, after the Hayward command, and mostly I worked my command in the Fresno area. I spent over 6 years in that command and had a great time with that. One of the things about Fresno was we had a known for pursuits. Maybe you all seen the pursuits on TV, right? So we averaged about 100 a year. And when I was an officer there, I know how many, we probably had 150, because when I was an officer, we got a pursuit for 30 or 40 seconds. We didn't actually count them, it wasn't a pursuit, it was a failure to deal. So we had a lot of pursuits. That's fun, that's fun. You know what, I just missed my son. My son, I'm sorry. Chris, stand please. Give me 10 Dr. Jacks. My son is actually retired from California Highway Patrol. Sorry, Chris. He did 29 and a half years. He retired in November. And the last 12 years, he was on the governor's protective detail. We're very proud of him. We did an outstanding assignment. I'm just trying to figure out how come you're retired, I'm still working. I don't know. He must have invested that. Sorry, son. Now I'm off track. I was then selected right after the Fresno assignment to Central Division Command, where I then was overseeing air operations Navy commercial unit, and was promoted and sent to San Luis Obispo. San Luis Obispo was a great command too. I had oversight of Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, Ventura, Moorpark, that southern part of the command. When I was a captain in Fresno, we had that same district. It was Bakersfield, Visalia. I love Bakersfield, Visalia, but it just isn't the same when you have the ocean in front of you. During my free time, I played a lot of softball over the years. I was fortunate to play for CHP. Thank you again, Ron, for making me a good softball. I was good. He was great. I was just good. We played in the Western Police Olympics, where we won 2 gold medals for the CHP Congo team. And then I coached the women's CHP team to 3 gold medals in California, Arizona, and Idaho. And you know why I coached the women's team? Because I wasn't good enough to play on the women's team. They were really, really good. So we had a great time. In closing, I have my current assignment as director at the First Responder Campus in Fresno. I have oversight of the Police Academy, Advanced Officer Training, and Corrections Program. In my 46-year career, I've had the honor to have been involved in training for over 20,000 students, both in California and across the U.S. Remember earlier when I said Class 13 was important? I started out at Fresno Police Academy in Class 13 in 1979 and did full circle coming back as the director in 2016. We are now at Class 178. I would like to take a few moments to honor those educators again in this room Garden City's first responders, and any veterans who may be in attendance. If you are, please stand again so we can give you another round. Veterans, educators, council. Thank you for your service. I would be remiss if I did not mention this week is National Police Week in Washington, D.C., honoring all law enforcement who paid the ultimate sacrifice. In fact, today was one of the main days in Washington. They're recognizing over 24,000 law enforcement personnel who lost their lives in the line of duty. In California, last week we honored the state of California. They had over 1,600 on the Capitol Mall. And then in Fresno County, we honored the 66 officers that lost their lives in Fresno County, where most of my assignments were. It is truly an honor to be represented here in my hometown of Garden City. In fact, even though we have lived in California for over 45 years, when asked where we are from, we always say Garden City, not from California. Thank you.
Okay, that's awesome. To close, I would like to thank all of you for being here and celebrating our new inductees into the Hall of Fame. On Sunday, they will get a chance to share with our graduates some of what they took from their experiences at Garden City High School and how it set them up for the future and whatever lessons they may want to give them for moving forward and on their path to success. And the commencement exercises will be Sunday at 1 p.m. here in the gym on the campus of Garden City High School. For now, though, please stay a while. Join us for some punch, for some cake in the back, and join us in congratulating our inductees. Thank you again for making it a great day to be a Buffalo.